Hello and welcome to the Kayden Gordon Show, today's best country mix. And joining me right here is the wonderful director, LazRael. How are you?
I'm so honored. Thank you, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. Excited about Unknown releasing yesterday, and the response so far is always an honor.
So why don't you start by letting everyone know who you are and what you've been up to recently?
Basically, I'm LazRael Lison. I'm located out of Los Angeles. Originally, I'm from Arkansas, and so a country boy. And uh, other than fortunately, I was stayed pretty busy even during the pandemic, and was able to shoot other stuff and then and currently right now I'm in post. Finished completing my next feature film in post-production right now, and then we had Unknown released everywhere yesterday. Came out everywhere, all over streaming services, on DVD, Blu-ray, VOD, SVOD. So it's pretty exciting times.
Absolutely. And I see here that you've done a number of different films here, like Never and Again back in 2021 and Rift, Private Number. You've done a lot of different things.
Yeah, I've done a lot. We had Never Again came out, like I say, 2021. It was one of the top streaming movies on BET Network, and that movie really was a game changer in a lot of ways. I guess in the midst of the pandemic, having a little bit of love brought everybody through it, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. So do you have something that you really enjoy about directing and doing all this in the film industry? Is there something in particular?
I've been writing since I was about 10 years old. So, directing was, from writing poetry to music, and the whole aspect of storytelling is what always really intrigued me, and what I loved about everything dealing with that. So directing was just like an extension of that. So I just love everything to do with behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Everything.
and I think definitely, and I think behind the scenes is probably like one of the most, not only important but fun parts about being a part of a movie, for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just like seeing where it's coming. It's like it's always interesting. I always said, you grow up in those very movies that you're horrified about. When you see how it's made behind the scene, you're like, wait a minute, that was some lettuce. That was the first AD opened that door, and he didn't really stab her, or something like that. So it's always, once the curtain is pulled back, for some they appreciate it, but then for some it like just kills the suspense element.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's the music, it's the editing, the music, it's the sound design, it's everything, that is the prosthetics, it's the every element, the VFX, every element, the coloring, from everything is what makes a film what it is.
Oh, absolutely.
Cinematography, all that, directing, just everything.
And I feel like a lot of people don't really know what goes on behind the scenes. So when they see it, they're like, oh, wow. And sometimes it breaks the, like you said, sometimes it breaks like the quote unquote magic of a movie. And sometimes people are just okay with it. It's one of those things that people, realize. And there's so much that can be done in a movie that can't be done in reality too. So it's mind blowing to think about it.
What's interesting is I've seen people that that have gotten casted based off, maybe they look like somebody, or maybe this, and they say, man, I want to be an actor. And then they get that, they lucked up and they got that spot. But then they saw how much work goes into it. And then they quit. Because, I mean, you got to get used to the long hours, man. It's like film is one of them things, like, you probably, longevity comes from loving it. Just loving it. You have to be in love with this business. And yeah, just like anything, you're going to get mad at it sometime. You're going to get, you go through so many different different emotions, but yet you can't go without it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go without. And that's the way, at least for the industry with me, it's like, you know, it's been a love affair since long as I can remember, before I even knew what ever walking on a film set was. I was blown away by the art of creating great stories, making people feel a certain thing.
Definitely, definitely. So do you have any advice to those who might want to, start acting or directing or anything like that in the industry, but doesn't really know how to get their foot in the door?
My thing is for people that want to do it. Like, I believe that, you know, if you want to do it, you're going to figure out avenues, because, you know, it's one of those things that I remember, if somebody would have, I remember when I first started in this business, you know, and it was days I was crying. It was days I was, you know, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And my older brother told me, he said, you need to go through it, because if somebody just give it to you, you ain't going to appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? It's the steps that a person must take to reach that final destination. And I just tell people, like actors or whatever, actors, directors, keep getting better, keep growing. Don't think just because that the greatest advice someone gave me when I first got to LA, which I totally disagreed with at that time, he told me, he said, give yourself 5 years. I'm like, 5 years? Are you crazy? I ain't give myself, that's still, I'm gonna make it way before then. Then you look up 15 years later,
Mm-hmm.
and then you finally get into that playing field that you want to get to, because you never quit. You got better, you got better. And to reach that ultimate destination, you need to keep growing. You need to keep getting better. You need to keep putting in the work. You need to keep building your resume, because the key to success in life, with anything, with Amazon, with
Mm-hmm.
Tesla, is consistency. Consistency is what makes people believe in you. Consistency. I mean, when I first started out, you know, I didn't have as many people, like, you know, jumping on board whatever I do,
Mm-hmm.
like I do now. It's just the way the game is. So my biggest thing I tell anybody is keep getting better, keep growing, keep putting in the work, keep writing, keep taking classes, keep, you know, editing, keep, you know, directing stuff. Because what you put out now, at this point, when you first start out, it ain't gonna be as good as what you put out 10 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
I
So,
definitely agree. I think it's one of those things that, you've gained so much experience from like when you first started to 15 years later, you don't realize you have that much experience in what you're doing until you actually reach that goal of like a couple of years, 10, 15 years.
yeah, you realize when you then you start,
Right.
because the whole key is, man, I just always felt like the biggest form of validation was, for me, was when, because I had done a lot of stuff, and, you know, I had got distribution with things. And, you know, well, I guess the first step was like, okay, I got distribution, you know, you get past that, but you weren't making no money, you know.
Right.
And then when I finally got to the point where I started selling my stuff and making and getting wrote
Mm-hmm.
big checks for it, you know, when I did that, that's when I finally realized mentally I
Mm-hmm.
broke through. And that's the key, is to keep getting better, and keep doing work that's so good that someone will pay you for
Right. Yes, definitely. And that's one of the things, in any industry I've learned myself, you got to keep going. You can't stop. Still learning every day. Everybody is,
And that's the
it's
key. That's the key, is
mhm,
steady growing, steady
mhm,
realizing, because I love the aspect of being a
mhm,
student. I love the aspect of asking questions and inquiring.
mhm,
Because that's the great thing about life, is like they always say, you know, if you discipline your brain
mhm,
enough, where it will always continuously keep rewiring itself, keep learning, keep learning, keep learning. But that's the greatest thing about life, is like, you know, that's one thing I saw this old man say. He said, the exciting thing about getting, he was old. He said, the exciting thing about getting old is realizing you don't know anything. Like, you realize, because when you realize you don't know everything, you become a canvas and you keep growing, you keep getting better, you keep getting better. And that's the great thing about life.
Totally, I agree. And like I was saying before, it's something, that you got to keep going with. And, with this stuff, with the radio and, everything, it doesn't matter which industry you're in. I mean, you got to push yourself to continue to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? Do you have a goal or like a mission set for yourself in your career?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I just want to keep getting better. Keep budgets, keep getting huger, bigger, and just keep becoming the best. I always say that, just to keep it real, my goal is to be at the top, keep growing and become at the top of my industry, be amazing father to my kids, be amazing husband, because I feel like your kids and your home life is an extension of you. They like the best examples of who you are, you know what I'm saying, to like to the public world. And to me, that's my goal, just to keep growing in this business, because I'm gonna keep doing in this business, because that's who I am. That's what I love to do. So keep making great films, keep climbing up the ladder to the point where, I'm a, top-notch A-list director, but yet at the same time, be a great father, be a great husband. That's my goals, short-term goals.
That is just great. That's awesome. So if you had a chance to work with any actor, actress, anything like that, who would you choose and why?
Man, I think that I like working with great talent, big actors, well-known actors, because it makes your job a lot easier. The talent is it can spoil you, because the better the actors, the bigger the actors, a lot of times. I mean, oftentimes you don't really have to, all the acting is out the door. You already know they're great as an actor. It's just about, at that point, blocking and things like that. Oh man, you got, when it come down to actresses, oh, it's just so many, man, so many. And I've been fortunate to work with quite a bit, but then you got like I mean, shoots. The list it's like from Kate Hudson to like Holly Berry to man, to like somebody like a Brad Pitt to I mean, it just, when it comes down to like great talent, man, it just because every time we doing casting, and I have my casting director going out, it's the people you don't even think of. I'm like, oh my God, that person, I'm a huge fan of that person. It's people that you don't think of that may not be in your top 10 list, because when we think about, when you put somebody on the spot and you say your favorite actors, you start thinking about the obvious ones that everybody know their names. So you probably have a Tom Cruise come in your mind. You have a Tom Hanks. You have a Denzel. You have a Will Smith. You have all the obvious people. But really, if you sat down and really thought about your list of how many great actors you love to work with, and you really took the time to think, you probably wouldn't put them there, but they just the obvious names. And I just, man, when I see talent, man, when I think about how great they are, the exceptional ability, it's like, even with some of the actors that I worked with in Unknown, worked in the movie with Unknown. I mean, some exceptional talent that I'm like, wow, just sitting back watching them perform. And even the lead guy, Hal Ozen, like, I mean, just such an amazing, amazing talent that it just like, when I see them perform, it just makes me like stay in my lane. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if that answers the question too much, but it's like so much amazing talent out here. And it's like, I don't know who I can come off top of my head. Like, you know, I would love to have a conversation with like a James Cameron or a M. Night Shyamalan, M. Night, people and understand their brain, their process, you know? And so, but there's so much great talent, man.
There sure is. There sure is. So, if someone was to write a movie based off of something that's happened to your life or something about you, what do you think that they would write about?
I never quit. I being, despite the, you know, all the odds against you, and a rags to riches story, you know, but a troubled childhood, but yet no excuses. I love every aspect of where I come from, and a person that grew up and never knew what hearing, you know, everything that I grew up with or without. Like, for example, I knew, like, you know, like so many people, you don't hear the word "I love you" all the time. You know what I'm saying? When you're a kid, so you have people chasing that. So I make sure, man, with my twins, my 3.5-year-old twins, I make sure I tell them that every day. You know, so with me, I just feel like I have a story of a person that just like, I think my story is very parallel to most successful people. So I don't take no exception to, I don't look at it like my story is exceptional in that right. But since we brought that up, you know, I just think that it's a story of a person that, you know, 11 people living in a 2-bedroom trailer house, you know, to now being able to achieve everything I want to achieve and live in my dream.
There you go. That was, you know, you pretty much hit it on the nail there.
Okay.
There you go. So, for people that want to find more about you or find you on social media, where can they find you?
They can just look up on LazRael Lison, L-A-Z as in zebra, R-A-E-L, last name Lison, on social media. It's on Facebook, same thing on Instagram. So it's pretty easy to find. Everything is pretty easy, everything connected nowadays.
Absolutely. So do you have a message to your fans or anyone that might be listening or watching this, LazRael?
I say check out #unknown. It released yesterday, June the 28th. I think that when you watch it, you're gonna be really, really blown away. It's a roller coaster ride from, like, I mean, you know, if you figure this one out, I love to hear it. But go check the movie out, man. It was a pleasure working on it. It was a pleasure working with the cast. And then, you know, after this one, we got some more heat that's about to drop later this year. So, but man, that's why I say check the movie out. It's everywhere. #unknown with a phenomenal cast.
Awesome. And LazRael, is there anything I forgot to mention that you would like to mention, my friend?
Oh no, you good. You good.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Kayden Show. Today's Best Country Mix. It was awesome chatting about you. And I highly encourage everybody to check out #unknown.
Thank you, brother. Have a great one.